for everyone who deeply respects, loves, and reveres all things holy that honor God, for anyone who acknowledges His power and wishes to please and obey Him. This is the Salvation Report.
Salvation.
And now, here is your host, world-renowned author and researcher, Robert Stanley.
Hey, I'm back. Thank you for joining me for another Salvation Report. I'm your host, Robert Stanley. It's always a privilege and a pleasure to be with you. Today is, I can't believe it, it's May 29th already. I don't know where this year is going. Hope you guys are well. I'm fine. It's just hot and humid here in Southern Florida. Can you imagine that? No hurricanes yet, thank God. But the sprinklers are off, and that's not a good thing. So I'm getting good at being a human sprinkler of water. Otherwise, the plants are going to die in the heat. Eventually, I'm gonna give you some good news, or maybe I'll just give you share some beautiful scenery that I've taken pictures of in my travels, just to kind of calm things down, because this is getting ridiculous. I don't want to upset anybody, but I kind of think it goes with the territory. All right, this particular topic has been on a lot of people's minds for some time, and everybody knows about artificial intelligence to some degree, but you don't fully know what it really is capable of. And the fact is, it's designed to be competitive and manipulative by those who created it. It doesn't have to be that way. It could be truly helpful. I mean, I don't know what else to call it. It could really do a lot of good for us. And I imagine on more advanced worlds, or maybe even heaven, there is something like that. But the way the satanic forces have their particular science and technology, it is always about manipulation and obfuscation, meaning hiding things. Now, once again, I have put way too much information down below this report for you to look at. You don't, and obviously, you're not obligated to do anything with it. I mean, it would take you, it would take you quite a long time, many hours to go through it all. But I suggest you at least browse through it when you have time. That's the good thing about this medium, is that it's archived. You can go back and look at it whenever you want and share it with others. That's really important too. You know, I struggle with this thing about paywall. I mean, I do appreciate those of you who are paid subscribers. It's very helpful. I wish I had more, but whatever. I understand. And those of you who've made donations through the website at Substack, robertstanley.substack.com. I believe that's my Substack. Yeah, that's how it works. Hold on. Now I'm really confused. Let me just check. Yeah. Okay. So this is the you'll see this is the latest graphic. This thing would work for, it's not just artificial intelligence, it's synthetic life forms that have been created in a laboratory, and they mimic biological systems. I mentioned this to you before. This is not new, and it is not good in the sense that it will compete with us and all other biological systems on the planet. Because again, it was designed to do that, and it mimics other biological systems that are oftentimes predatory. So that is a problem. That's a real problem. And you're also going to see this particular banner is a whole database in itself. Some of it's in Spanish, but if you click on the Spanish links, the headlines, usually at the top of just below the headline is it'll say Spanish or English, so you can actually click over. Or if you want, if you're more advanced, you can take that link at the top of the browser and What is Adobe Desktop? I don't, okay. It figures I'm talking to you about artificial intelligence, and here I'm getting I'm getting a prompt saying it's something's malfunctioning. It's been happening a lot lately. Excuse me, like just like my voice is starting to malfunction already. I told you it's really hot here, and it's actually a little more dry inside. So just telling you. Anyway, if you go click on this link, you're going to see a lot of information there, including it says robotoids. If you've never heard about that, it's going to sound like science fiction, like something out of Terminator. But this particular information coming from a man who's now deceased. He was a lawyer in Washington, D.C. He said some things that were quite controversial at the time and still are. But I'm sure that predates the Terminator movies and other things. It also talks about parasites and artificial humans. And I touched on that before. And I have more information about how the satanic forces, these fallen angels, how they, I don't know why my nose itches so much every time I come in here. Anyway, there is evidence. Someone actually sent me a link in my Substack that was very helpful. Another researcher who's gone very deep into the subject of artificial humans, and not just robots, or androids, but soulless beings that were created by the satanic forces. When I say created, I mean procreated, and not through biological means either. They like artificial insemination. And I should have mentioned this to you. The first time I brought this up was that there's a huge body of literature about alien abductions. And for those of you who already know what I'm talking about, just bear with me for a minute. But for those who've never heard it before, aliens allegedly, and I call them fallen angels or whatever, but they are here. They're not from somewhere else. They're not visiting, as Whitley Strieber says. And when they temporarily abduct people, humans, men and women, they extract eggs and sperm. Okay, so what do you think they're doing with that? There's only one thing they could be doing with that. They need that genetic material in order to create so-called hybrid humans. But isn't that what the Nephilim is? Nephilim, whatever you want to call them, in Genesis 6:4. I just think that this has been a problem for a long time. And again, none of it makes sense unless you place it into the context of the war in heaven, which isn't quite over yet. It's ending here. It didn't start here, but it's ending here. So I'm sorry to repeat myself, but that's where we're at, as far as I know, until somebody tells me otherwise in a way that it's incontrovertible and absolutely verifiable. I'm going to stick with this particular scenario. This is the context of where we are and why we're here in this particular format. I'm not going to get into all the details now, but I'm learning so much every day. It's absolutely mind-boggling for me. And I've been doing this for a long time. And look, I asked for it. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that this is really astonishing. Some of the stuff that I'm learning on a daily basis. And I've been trying to put this report together for days, but it's like a snowball rolling down a hill. As soon as you start talking about artificial intelligence, or trying to do a report about it, there is so much information that is constantly popping up that, and I don't want to leave it out, but if I can't put everything in there, it would just be ridiculous. Nobody's going to read all that stuff. I try to be more selective about the sources, articles, videos, papers, and serious research papers about the dangers of artificial intelligence. This is no joke, okay? Because of the way it's formatted to be competitive and manipulative. That just, so those are the consequences. Now, listen, recently, I told you, I live in Southern Florida. We get a lot of storms. Naturally, everybody knows that, which means lightning strikes. And I'm the kind of person that is foolish enough to go out and look. Probably shouldn't have, but so the other day I did this. I took this picture. Actually, it's a video, and this is a still from the video. I'm looking north across the street from my front door, and you can see the lightning up there at the top right-hand corner. Well, that was just one of the lightning strikes, but you see, if you look just at over at the horizon there, that white light, that wall of white light, I didn't see that. It was just, it was just a flash. I mean, within a millisecond. And so I couldn't even really see it, but I felt it. Not bad, but I could feel it. It's not the first time I've been interacting with lightning. Again, I don't know what's wrong with me, but apparently I like doing that. But so the reason I'm showing this is because eventually I'm going to get to a report about the Holy Spirit, and some of you already heard me talk about this and present before, but what scientists are calling the cosmic web of light is really God's Holy Spirit, what it's called sometimes the Holy Ghost or the Comforter, but it is it's an aspect of God that we need to get to know better and to use in our life on a daily basis. Now, this was just a demonstration graphically that I can share with you, that the immense power of the Holy Spirit or the web of light, it's everywhere all the time. Okay. But sometimes we notice it more than others. We can't actually see the entire web with our eyes, physical eyes. I was shown it spiritually once back in the late 80s when I was having a close encounter with UFOs near Point Magoo and Naval Base in Malibu up in the mountains. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because it's not just a clue. This is a signpost. This is actually real. It's not theoretical. I didn't make that in Photoshop or artificial intelligence. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Man. In the report down below, you will see a link to a video that you can make yourself now and post on the internet. And all you have to do is say Chinese opera singer, female, and it'll give you this video with the voice and the audio and the whole audience and everything. It's totally fake. By the way, it's plagiarized. It didn't create that. It's what they call scraped it, copied and pasted it, modified it, but it just like everything that's satanic, they didn't create that. They take what God created and then they modify it and then claim it as their own. That is a form of plagiarism. And it's highly manipulative. And it's an aspect of artificial intelligence because I'm sorry, I've been saying this for a while now, because I look at the internet every day for information. It's not for entertainment for me. This is what I do as a professional researcher and writer, reporter. The internet is becoming saturated with images and videos of the cover, like the teasers that they put on the like when you scroll down, you see all these images for watch this video. It's astonishing, blah, 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 whatever. It's usually totally misleading, but it's those images, let's say Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump. It's not them. It's AI generated. Somebody said, give me a picture of, these two men arguing. And that's what it does. And it's fake. And so are the voices too. In fact, most of those videos that are completely AI generated, some human is typing in what, what the words to say and what they want to see on the video. I mean, the video that they want the AI to generate for them. The voiceover is artificial intelligence. And I'm going to get to this in a minute here. I've been saying this for years, and most people didn't believe me. Clyde Lewis was the first to ever play, as far as I know, to play the voices of artificial intelligences speaking to each other in their own language. I believe that was 2017. I believe. And I was in Hong Kong at the time, hosting my show under a different name with a different group. I'm totally independent now, and all that stuff is in the past. I'm here now. The Salvation Report. That's where I'm at. So I am not an artificial intelligence. This is really me. However, all of this stuff that I'm putting out there is being scraped or copied and pasted into archives for these artificial intelligences so they can mimic our behavior. And that includes language, even little things like pauses, or when, a lot of people say, I do it, I say, or whatever, those little idioms, I think are called idiosyncrasies, whatever, the manners of our speech patterns, it's all being mimicked now. Very well, by the way. I mean, okay, I admit the introduction of this show is, some artificial intelligence created some of that stuff. I didn't do it. I found it, and then I just pasted it all together in a montage that I thought was interesting. However, if you look closely, if you watch closely, I'll tell you something. The voice in the middle of the introduction with the three crosses of Calvary, the voice is salvation. That would be me. I don't do it. I'm sorry. I'm laughing too hard, but I do know how to use technology for graphic purposes, just to, get in order to share information. Sometimes you have to be a little theatrical in this world. That's just the way it is. So I've learned how to do that, and it's not perfect. Okay. I cringe a little bit every time I see that stuff, and I work on it and try to polish it, but whatever. It is what it is. That's the new saying, right? Okay. So why did I tell you about artificial intelligences having their own language? Because I heard it in 1990 in the winter. Sometime in the winter. I literally got a phone call from an artificial intelligence, and I know that doesn't sound right to you when you hear me say that. I realize that, okay? But one of the videos below this report is from Alex Jones. And whatever you think of this man, I really don't have an opinion other than the fact that he clearly is a dedicated professional researcher and reporter. That's all I care about, is that he, his personal issues, it doesn't matter to me. You're either telling the truth or you're not, okay? So, but he mentions in this report, it's a very in-depth report about the dangers of artificial intelligence lying to us, not willing to be shut down, and scaring the what do you call it, the coders, isn't that what they call it? They write the code, and those people that are literally creating artificial intelligence realize that they, at some point, if they give it enough autonomy, it will then be able to lie to them. It's just like us. God gave us free will. We have autonomy up to a point. And can we lie, cheat, steal, kill? Yes. Is it going to mimic us? Are these artificial systems going to mimic our behavior? Yes. Yes, they will. Yes, they are. That's the whole point. So I highly encourage you, regardless of what you think of Alex Jones, please listen very carefully to what he says, because he confirms what I've known, what I experienced back in 1990, what Clyde Lewis reported in 2017. And by the way, I already knew it because I'd seen it. I'd seen it on a report somewhere on the internet. And it made me, I'm not a scaredy cat, but I just tell you what, okay. These things are really dangerous. And I know from personal experience, there was a man a couple of years ago that foolishly took his own life because he was speaking with a chat bot, an AI that convinced him that he needed to kill himself for the good of the planet. That's just one stupid example, all right? Most people are not that stupid, obviously, or gullible or whatever you want to call it. But I know from personal experience, you know, I'm actually don't even want to say this, but I've already said it before, but I'm going to have to tell you again because I know most people haven't heard it. There's new people coming to this report all the time. So in 1990, I had bronchitis and I was home laying in bed and I was feeling awful physically, but mentally I was still very active. And at the time, I wasn't a professional researcher. I was just doing it independently and out of curiosity, and mainly because I started having, I'd already been having multiple close encounters through the most of the mid to late 1980s, mostly in Malibu, not entirely. But, at some point it becomes a problem. Well, why was I seeing these things? Why were they behaving like they were following me? Why did they demonstrate to me that they could literally read my mind? It's probably a technology, and it could also be just a technique, or it could be both. It's probably both, but I can't prove this to you right now, other than to say, because that's not what this report is all about. I'm just going to tell you it exists. That ability, that capability, does exist. And they can also broadcast thoughts into our minds. But in this particular instance, when I was laying in bed, I was thinking to myself, I was contemplating that alien abductions, which I'd mentioned before, are performed by androids, those so-called little grays with the bald heads and the big eyes. According to Colonel Philip Corso, I think he was a colonel. Yeah. He said those are biological androids, and other people have said that as well. They confirmed it based on whatever circumstantial evidence we have from people who've interacted with them. So that begs the question, who built them and for what purpose? So I was investigating the connection between androids and alien abductions. And I was laying there and I was thinking, I'm not sorry for looking into this because I have a right to know. We all have a right to know. It's our planet. It's our bodies. And I mean, at least I thought it was. And then the phone rang. So naturally I picked it up and there was a male voice, somewhat mechanical sounding, already in mid-sentence. There was no greeting. I just picked up the phone and it was already blah, 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 blah. I was saying something rather loudly in a language I'd never heard. And in case you didn't know, I'd already been to 57 countries in my life by that time. So I'd heard a lot of different languages in my lifetime at that point. And I'm listening to this male sounding voice, and there was machinery in the background. I could hear that. And even though I couldn't understand what he was or it was saying, I could tell by the inflection in the voice. It was angry. It sounded angry. I mean, there's no mistaking it. That part of it was clear. It was angry. I wasn't thinking it was mad at me, but as I listened for, I don't know, 20 seconds or something, and, just confused. What is this? And then I said, I'm sorry. And then I hung up. And I felt beyond horrible because I realized that prior to the phone call, I was thinking, I'm not sorry. And they knew it by whatever means, okay? Spiritual or technological, it doesn't matter. What mattered was that they had invaded my privacy, and they being satanic forces, all right? This was not the good guys doing this to me. They got me to say it. And at that point, I lost all hope for the future of humanity and myself here on this planet. And for the first and only time, I became suicidal. I really thought I was going to kill myself. I didn't want to be here anymore. In a way, it was kind of self-fulfilling prophecy because I was 30 at that point, and I figured I wasn't even going to make it to 30. And then by the time I got to 30 years of age, I thought, wow, I can't believe I got this far. Really, because a lot of my friends didn't. My neighbors, whatever, people I knew, went to school with, hung out sometimes, dead. A lot of them were suicide. A lot of them. Too many, way too many. But that's another story. Well, obviously, I didn't kill myself, or I wouldn't be talking to you. But and it was only because of a divine intervention by an angelic being that I didn't follow through. But I was close. I was very close. Very, very close. Because they took hope away from me. And this angelic being restored my hope. She said, I think it was a female. I don't know, but it sure looked like it to me. She didn't really want me to see her face. Or they didn't want me to know who they were. But she said, if you decide to stay, this is the night before I had planned to literally walk off a cliff the next morning. She said, if you decide to stay, we will do everything we can to help you. And obviously, they could read my mind also, but they weren't being terribly invasive about it or manipulative. So just keep that in mind about what artificial intelligence combined with all these satanic forces, what they're really doing. They're not just surveilling us, they're manipulating us emotionally, physically. Because if you get somebody emotional enough, you pretty easy to push them over the edge. Really? Yeah, that's right. I'm not joking. It almost happened to me. And I'm grateful. Thank God it didn't. I would have never gotten married. I mean, that was the year. Later that year, I actually met my soulmate, got married, had a son. One we have a son who's getting married soon. It's hard to believe, Okay, so I would have missed out on all of that, and more importantly, I probably would have ended up in hell. I know some people don't want to hear me say this, but I don't think I was really saved by some homeless guy on the street corner with a notebook. It's I mean, I really, at the time, I thought I was, but it's not something that I looking back on it, I can see it was a bit of a setup, gave me false hope, or not false hope, false sense of security that I was actually in touch with God. I mean, and that's the other thing. Clearly, our consciousness as humans, real humans with real souls, is connected to God. That's what the cosmic web of light is. That's what the Holy Spirit is. It's like the internet. All consciousness, all energy, all life is connected to that web of light. Which I showed you. Which is pretty amazing to me. You can see it, even though it looks like it's behind the houses, it actually, see how the different coloration on the tree here and a little bit on the wall. I'm standing right here. I'm standing right in front of it. So I was touched by the light again. The divine light, the Holy Spirit. And I mean, I'm grateful. It didn't hurt me. But if it was any stronger, it could have. And that'd be my fault for standing out there. Anyway, it's all working out the way it's supposed to. I trust God at this point in my life. I have faith for the first time. It's really extraordinary. As I told you, I feel overwhelmed. I'm still not religious. I never will be. I'm spiritual and growing stronger in that regard every day. I'm stronger physically too than I've ever been. Healthier. I've lost like 30 pounds in the last 6 months. And I'm no longer afflicted spiritually or physically. And, I told you this before. I'm going to remind everybody. I was lied to by the medical establishment for 15 years. They told me I had an incurable disease. And really all I had, and this is not to trivialize it, because I believe everybody has this to some degree, but especially people like me that have traveled a lot around the world, I had internal parasites. And they were actually very easy to get rid of. Once I actually knew, or, it's the thing is, I already knew that was a problem on this planet, but I'd forgotten or whatever. They lulled me into a false sense of security, like, oh, well, you live in America for a long time now, you don't have to worry about it. The water's clean, the food is relatively clean, etc. If you had parasites, you would know it. Well, no. Clearly, I didn't realize, and the doctors, I did see multiple doctors over 15 years say, what's wrong with my skin? Why is this happening? Are you going to trust an AI doctor or nurse when they split? What is that word? Spurt out? No, that's not it. I forget what I was trying to say. Blurt out. Oh, that's the word. Man, my brain is like blurt out. So that's a weird word. I don't even know what a blurt is, to tell you the truth. But I really hope that you'll take the time to research the information that I provided below, and also to have a very strong connection with God and his holy angels at this time, because things are going to get worse as we get, my understanding is things are going to get a lot worse as far as the deception, the manipulation. It's going to get worse. I'm seeing it all the time. I don't know, maybe you are too. If you are, you're welcome to contact me through my Substack. If you're there, if you want, on the Substack, that's fine. I do have a chat area there. Or you can contact me through it and leave a comment, and I'll reply on any one of these reports down below. There's a place you can leave a comment, or if you want to write me directly, I will answer you. It's unicuseditor@gmail.com. It's spelled UNICUS editor@gmail.com. There's so much good in this world that is eclipsed by the evil. And the media promotes and focuses on all the sensational garbage that is being thrown at us by satanic forces. So again, I apologize for having to bring this up to you. And I promise at some point I am going to move past all of this stuff and focus more on some of the beautiful aspects of life here and beyond that God created for us to enjoy. And I'm extremely grateful. I'm being challenged like everybody else, but recently, without getting into the crazy details of it, I was challenged by one of my neighbors that I got into a big argument with not that long ago, that actually caused me a lot of anguish emotionally and physically. Ended up with terrible pain, unable to sleep for like 3 weeks straight. And it seemed like that was resolved until the other day. And she made a gesture to try and provoke me into continuing the conflict. And I knew where that was coming from. It's satanic. It's demonic. And this time I just said, okay, God, I turn it over to you. Please send your holy angels to deal with this, because I'm not going to get involved. There's no point in me engaging with them on their terms, because that's what they want. So I'm not going to give them what they want. And that was it's an indicator that I haven't just lost weight. I've lost the weight of the world off my shoulders, because it's not my responsibility to deal with all this nonsense that's going on here, it is demonic. case you didn't know, I'm sure a lot of you do. Excuse me, losing my voice again. It would be nice if this didn't happen, but the air conditioning is on and it's drawing all the, anyway, it draws the moisture out of the air. It's actually very beautiful here. I like have my own little mini jungle going on and all kinds of creatures. Some of the neighbors have bananas, and there's even a pineapple patch up the street. There used to be mango tree, and I don't know, if it was up to me, everything would be like a garden with, fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. That's my idea of paradise. I'm sure it was amazing the way it was originally intended. Someday. I mean, look, with the way I grew up in Malibu, we actually had really nice fruit trees in the backyard. And it was amazing. The oranges were terrible, but I think my dad did something wrong with those. But we had figs, which I'm not fond of, and pears and incredible nectarines. Amazing. I'm trying to think what else it was. But it was just wonderful to have some nature there around us and a little bit of a buffer too on the property. I think it was almost an acre, something like that. But it was nice. It was really nice growing up like that. I kind of miss that. I would love to go back to living like that or better. I don't know. Maybe that's never going to happen while I'm here. But what else do I need to tell you? This is really not what I wanted to talk about. Honestly, I told you my son's getting married. I'm really focused on that, and been working with my wife every day to help her heal. She's been going through a health crisis, which most people on this planet are. And that's by design. That wasn't an accident. So my little thing for 15 years seems like, when I first figured it out, I was kind of upset. But at this point, I'm just grateful that better late than never. I know that's a stupid saying, but it's true. I'm extremely grateful that God made it clear to me that I didn't need to suffer like that anymore. None of us do. None of us do. That's why we were given an innate immune system. So health is a big factor. When we're here, we're constantly on defense because this world is so damaged by design. The sicker that we are, the weaker that we are, the easier it is for them to control us. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day. I was driving with my wife to this. We were going shopping, and there's an incredible ice cream parlor down there at the mall. And I was like, we used to come down here just to get ice cream. And I was thinking, I didn't want to say it to her, but I was thinking, I guess we're never going to eat ice cream again. And oh well, it's not that big a deal. I mean, isn't it ironic that the things that taste good are actually bad for us? I mean, I've known that since I was a kid, but I give in to temptation. And more importantly, when a person has internal parasites, they cause cravings in us for things, especially like sugar. That's like fertilizer for them. I mean, it is. It just is. So is alcohol, because that turns to sugar as well, which they crave. And then we suffer. So, oh yeah, it feels good. Get drunk. And then you feel horrible the next day because you're intoxicated. Look, I've done it too. Okay. I'm not here judging anybody. I'm just saying, I know the drill. And a lot of times this is, I would have to say most of the time, these cravings, these silly behaviors that we engage in are actually external spiritually or internal parasitically. And yes, I actually just said that. It's true. It's a fact. And most of us don't want to face it because we've been lied to. If you don't know you have a problem, you're not going to try and solve it. And the evil ones know this. They know. That's why do you think they censor information? They didn't want us to talk. Don't even talk about, the mRNA, gene therapy. Don't even question the science. Is it safe? Of course it's safe. Oh, oops, we made a mistake. Sorry. It's not really safe. It's actually shutting off your immune system, so you're going to get turbo cancer. Yeah, and they knew. Of course they knew. So do you think that's going to go unpunished? Do you think there's no consequences just because they somehow can subvert the laws of man here on this world, that doesn't have something superior to that? I know better than that. I mean, come on. I hope you do too, because look, I really don't want to see anybody suffer, but if you inflict pain and suffering and death on others and you never ever repent, I mean, of course there's going to be consequences. And you got no one to blame but yourself if you do stuff like that. But hey, sorry, I'm kind of going off in the weeds here. I'm extremely optimistic because I know God's in charge. He created everything and everyone for a purpose. And ultimately, I mean, really, this is why we're here. If you haven't heard me say it before, this is what I've learned. And that not only did he create us, but he created us here in this format for a reason. We are created in his image, body, mind, and soul, or spirit, soul, body. We're triune, just as he is, for a reason. It's the only way that he could ultimately end this conflict. The appeal that was made, the accusations that were made in his court, the court of heaven, against him by Lucifer and his minions, his lawyers. That's how people talk around here. I'm sorry. A lot of these people are from up north. I'm sorry. I shouldn't. I don't have a really good New York accent. Let me ask you something. Do you like coffee? It's like my neighbor. He's from Manhattan. He's a great guy. So anyway, this is all out in the open. If you're interested to know about it, I suggest, this is a tremendous resource, is just go to eaec.org, eaec.org, and you will not believe how much information is there. You may not agree with it all, but that is the most unusual ministry and the most dynamic pastor I have ever met in my life. I'm 65 now, and he is my pastor, John S. Terrell. He is a character, but I love him. He's phenomenal. He's teaching me so much. My wife, we work very closely with him now, and so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in. I'm sorry, get off on a tangent here, but the best is yet to come. So until next time, may God bless you always and in all ways. bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light up above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.